Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to another round of whatever this is. We just talk about random stuff all morning. So looks like we have a bunch of people in the chat already. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining from all over the place. Had a nice spread of that globe. I saw someone snuck in from Alaska that just barely had the pin on the map there. So I see a bunch of questions in the chat already, so we can go ahead and take a look at some of those. And reminder, if you do want to make sure I see your question, mention my full name at Aaron Parecki or the word question at the beginning of the sentence, and that makes it easier for me to spot it on my screen here. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. Got a couple of questions, and then we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Drop questions about the ATEM, about streaming. I'll show off my stands again at some point, I'm sure. Oh, and I do have a, as always, I'm always changing things up in here. So I do have a couple of new things I've been doing in Companion to help make this easier to run. So I will show you what that's all about in a minute. And it's been, I've been tweaking things, of course, as always. But let's take a look at some of the questions that we got during the intro, during the countdown. So, okay, here's one from Jonathan. I have a question. When the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO is connected to a streaming bridge, it shows the recording qualities out of order. Is that normal? When I go back to Facebook, it has them listed correctly. I think I do know what's going on there. I actually do think I know what's going on. Let me make sure I am not going to share my streaming key when I share my screen. And yes, okay, I can show you this. So I have a feeling I know what's going on. Let's take a look at my ATEM interface. So on when you select like YouTube or one of the platforms, oh, I have a lot of them in there. Wow. The quality lists in this order. This is just the default order that came from Blackmagic, and if you choose any of them, any other ones, they'll usually be in the same order for these ones. Here's the trick: when you add a custom streaming platform, the streaming qualities are listed in the XML file. So here is one that I made for streaming to my Raspberry Pi on the network. Same idea for the streaming bridge. It would have a similar thing in here. This lists the qualities to show in that dropdown. So you can actually change the qualities that you want it to stream at. So I can actually say, for this one, I only ever want to do streaming high, and I can delete those. And now the only thing that'll be in that list is going to be those qualities. So for example, let me actually go and save this. Let's see, this is the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, so if I go and where is this file saved? Downloads. Great. That's a great place for it. So if I go load streaming settings and go to my downloads, load the Raspberry Pi, and then look at what it did here. Here's that one that it just added. Now there's only the streaming high. Interesting that it added the Hyperdeck itself. Those were not in the file, but that's these qualities down here are going to be dependent on what's in that XML file. So that's what's going on. They're not necessarily out of order. They just are whatever is in the streaming XML. And when you save the settings out of the streaming bridge, then it's the same idea. The qualities will be listed here. And for whatever reason, those were in a different order of compared to the default. And now you know the streaming key for my streaming bridge, but good luck because it's not actually connected to anything, so I don't really care that much. Also, you don't know my studio IP address. That wasn't on the screen. Great. Okay, good question. What else? Studio tour. I realized that I am due for one. So fun thing that I realized, I looked back at my channel and I was looking for other studio tours I've done. I used my own feature for searching through the timestamps in my videos, and I searched for tour, and this pointed something interesting out to me. I did a tour in June, and then I did another tour in September during the 10K live stream. Then I did a mini one in November. I guess I did a more full one in November, a couple weeks later. And a brief one in February, brief one in March. That was when I look at that shelf back there. So I actually haven't done a real tour since the 20K live stream in March, which is now officially 6 months ago. And before that, the sort of other major one was this one, which was also in September. I seem to be on a 6-month pattern for these. And that means it is now, since it is now September, that means it's time for another one. So probably not gonna do that today. Possibly later in the month, we'll see what happens. But I am planning on doing that. By the way, that website, that timestamps, I'm gonna drop that link to that in the chat. It's a great way to search through all of my videos in case you were curious about what I have done segments on during these live streams. When I go back and add timestamps to these live streams, they get all indexed, and then you can search across all of the streams. And that way, if I do like a particularly long segment about some particular product or about an idea, it'll be captured in that timestamp, which is part of me just trying to make sure that my content is more useful to everybody and easier to find. Okay, here's one. Oh, from Rick. Have you determined if the new Hyperdecks Studio HD will play files with different frame rates? I don't think they do. I don't think that was part of the feature they announced. But the one that I still haven't yet been able to figure out, which I know is going to be possible, is being able to encode a H.264 file on a computer to play it in there. I've done plenty of encoding ProRes files on the computer to play in the Hyperdeck. But I do want to be able to encode H.264 so that I can encode like a 2-hour-long video to play back from the Hyperdeck, where I'm not going to encode that as ProRes because it would just be way too big. Also, I saw your comment earlier about, where was that? This one. Thank you. I'm glad you got the Studio HD Plus. That one, and thanks for using the affiliate link. That one is, mine actually just came. So mine is now here, and it is, I've done just a little bit of testing with it, not too much yet. It's sitting on my desk here in my secondary, what is quickly becoming my secondary rack for my desk. I have too many things. Let me get rid of this iPad so I can show you. I do have this little handheld camera to show you my setup here. This is what I'm seeing. So my normal rack of things, and then I ran out of slots, and I ended up having to just stack these things over here now. So let's get that a little brighter. I've got the, this is the TV Studio HD, which I'm glad I've finally found a use for it in this studio now. That's that's the one doing the graphics. So when I have a chat message on the screen, it'll, here, you're getting a mini studio tour. So a chat message on the screen pops up in the Ultra Studio, gets overlaid in the TV Studio HD, and then sent out from this to the web presenter, which is the one that's streaming the show. And then I've got my 2 Hyperdecks down here. These are the 2 new ones, the Plus and the Mini. And right now it's playing a little clip of me on loop because I was doing some testing yesterday and I needed some videos of myself to just be rolling. So that came in handy. But yeah, that's my secondary rack. And at some point I want to put it into the main one on the desk because I don't like having that little pile of stuff there. Also, I need to paint those. All right, what other questions can we get to? Just gonna start going through these in order. I'm using the sound delay on the ATEM Extreme to get video audio in sync. I get the same delay on the headphones from the ATEM. Is there a way to get direct sound on the headphones with no delay? That is a very good question. but unfortunately, I believe the answer is no. There is one thing that I want to check. One thing that I want to check, which is there is a button in the ATEM software control, which is this little row of buttons on the bottom. These are going to sort of, I guess, like, what do you call it? Solo what goes out the headphone jack. So by default, you hear the full audio from all of the sources through the headphone jack. But if you tap on that, you'll hear just the one. And I haven't actually tried it, but that would be the only way I could think of that it would bypass the delay. You lose the program audio, though, of course. It's just that one. That would be interesting to try. I'm not running my audio through the microphone right now, so I don't know if I have a way to actually test that right now. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I can rewire here, but also my headphones are plugged into the wrong thing at the moment, too. So, but yeah, give that a shot and let me know if it works, because that would be the only thing I could think of. Are there times you use your ATEM in conjunction with other platforms such as Vimeo's Livestream? I do use the ATEM in quite a few different scenarios. So obviously this is the, on my channel I do this show, which is just on YouTube, but I often use it in Zoom for doing, the workshops I teach in Zoom. I have not specifically used Vimeo before, but I have streamed to other platforms. So I've streamed to Twitch. I've streamed on Owncast, which is the one you can spin up on your own server. And it's all the same. It's pretty much the same. So totally works. But yeah, I haven't actually used Vimeo specifically. Chris asks, will the StreamDeck XL work with the Mark II stand for the Mini? So okay, so there's there's so many combinations of these things, and but let me go grab that one. So I did go, because a lot of people wanted it. I kept getting this feedback. I did go and design a StreamDeck XL attachment for the Mark II stand. It is not for the original one. It's only going to be for this one. I just don't want to have that many combinations of things. So the StreamDeck XL is available for the Mark II stand. And that is, if you do order those right now, they're all going to ship at the same time. So they're all shipping starting on the 15th of September. Nothing shipping yet. But that will be available at that time. And I am... I'm grateful for all the feedback of that. I didn't expect people to want this combination of things. I was assuming that the XL was going to be too big for the compared to the ATEM, but it actually fits relatively well. Mine is in use, so I can't show it to you in the stand, but I have pictures of it online. But it ends up being fitting, right there, and it ends up being pretty much the same size as the ATEM, which is kind of cool. So yes, this is available for the Mark II and the StreamDeck XL. And of course, I also have the 15-button StreamDeck available for this as well. And this is, so far, only for the original StreamDeck 15. I have not yet done one for the new StreamDeck 15. But as far as I can tell, there's no real reason you would need to upgrade from the original StreamDeck 15 to the new StreamDeck 15 button, because they're like basically exactly the same, but the form factor is different. So hopefully that'll be good enough for now. I know a bunch of you have the StreamDeck 15s. I don't know how many people have the new StreamDecks yet, so that'll be a later project. Chris says, I put an order in without the StreamDeck XL because I was told it's not yet available. You can always go and just like email them to change your order. It's not a big deal. You can do that for sure. A bunch of people did actually order the StreamDeck XL for the Extreme stand, for the larger stand, and the new one. So that's not a combo that works. But if you did order that, then we'll make sure that you get the right combination of things. Have you an idea when they will be shipped? Yeah, well, we're going to ship starting on September 15th, but they're going to be first in, first out. So the first orders will ship first, and we'll be making them as we're going. So there's already a small stash of them being made and shipped out to the US and other places that are getting sold. So those will all ship starting on September 15th. Oh, and that is also coincidentally the date that the pre-order pricing is going to be over. So right now, these are the pre-order links. Get those in now, because after the 15th, when they start shipping, the price is going to go up to the normal price. While I'm here, I wanted to show you that StreamDeck attachment. Where did it go? Oh, it's on my StreamDeck page. So here's all the combos. We've got the small StreamDeck for the small original ATEM, small StreamDeck for the new stand, this is the one, the StreamDeck XL for the new stand. And it does look pretty good. It's slightly taller than the ATEM, which is interesting, but it fits pretty well next to it. Tiny StreamDeck for large ATEM, large StreamDeck for large ATEM. Have you tried using Speedify on a Raspberry Pi? Can we use it at a live event? That's a great question. I did do one test with that so far, and I'm looking forward to doing some more testing with that. It was pretty straightforward, so I'm going to go through the whole process again to make a tutorial on that, but it was pretty straightforward, and it does work well. I also was running it on my phone, which is an interesting one. I'm not sure if I would end up using that on my phone much, because I feel like the chances of me having a Wi-Fi and an LTE that I want to bond together from my phone and then share over something like that, you can't share it again, because if you're using you need the Wi-Fi to not be on Wi-Fi if you're going to tether your LTE to something else. Anyway, Raspberry Pi seems like a much better use case for that. So yeah, I would definitely give it a shot. It should be pretty straightforward to go follow their instructions on installing it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, tip, change the mouse pointer to a color and make it bigger. That'd be easier to follow. Oh, that is a good idea. Maybe we can ask John to do that in H2R Gear. This software is H2R Gear, which is John from Here to Record. And, oh, was that what I was showing? Or was I showing something else? I was showing something on my screen. Anyway, this would be great to have a larger pointer for pointing to things. I do have the setting on my computer that makes it big when I move it around fast. But yeah, I should probably just make my cursor bigger for streams. Very basic problem. I can't stream music from both ATEM Mini Pro mic in ports. How to get things right. That shouldn't be a problem at all. The one thing that I would probably go double check is that in your software control, double check that your audio here is set to the same thing. Because if one of them is set to microphone levels and the other one is set to line levels, then you probably just won't hear one of them because they'll be too quiet. So make sure that they're both set to the appropriate setting for what is based on what is plugged in. I've definitely made that mistake before of like forgetting that I had changed it and then plugged something wrong in, and it's either super distorted or you can't hear it at all. That's my guess as to what's going on there. I'm getting rid of my Zoom live track because I can't control it via companion. Any recommended audio mixer with at least 2 inputs and 2 aux under 600? You put a budget constraint on me. So I haven't done too much with audio mixers yet. All of my audio right now is mixed through the ATEM itself. And so I haven't done too much, but I will say the one mixer that I keep hearing everybody talk about that they love for these things is the Where is it? Now I don't know the best link to share. Here we go. The Behringer XR16. That one seems to keep coming up as one that's good to automate because it is controllable via an iPad, but it's actually you control it over the network. So you can go and control it via companion. So this, I don't have it. I've never used one, but this is the one that everybody keeps suggesting to me, and I am very tempted to get one because, yeah, if I do get an audio mixer involved in the setup, I definitely want it to be available on the network so I can control it from companion and things like that. Let me just go share that link in case you do want to check it out. Where's my link? Tool. So that, oops, I should have put some context there. Behringer XR16 network controlled audio mixer. There we go. So scroll back like 30 seconds if you are clicking on the timestamp. Seems to be a good choice. Oh, XR18 is better, so you can use it as an audio interface as well. Yeah, they have a couple different versions, so it depends on your price point and what features you need and how many inputs you need, and whether you need the XLR or the quarter-inch jack. So take a look at their lineup, but that whole line of things is going to be a good option, I think. Ooh, Hugo says, a good audio mixer is the Yamaha MG12XU. It's around $350, great choice, and does what was requested before. Good tip. I will check that one out. I haven't heard of that one before. Oh, speaking of Spotify, why did I say Spotify? Speedify. Speaking of Speedify, Frank says, people can sideload Speedify to the YOLO box for internet bonding. A tutorial would be nice. That does sound like a great tutorial. That would be a very, very cool feature. I like that idea. Being able to, because the YOLO box is an Android device, I haven't ever tried loading custom software onto it before, but if you can load Speedify onto that device, then you get internet bonding in the YOLO box. That is cool. That is very cool. Very cool. I will have to try that. Is it possible to attach a second XL stand on an XL stand? Oh, you mean to like have a StreamDeck here and up here? We do not have that contraption available. Nope. Cool idea. Oh gosh. Yeah. And shipping to India? Yeah, totally. Totally shipping to India. Oh, good. And NX3D is in the chat. What's the difference between the new StreamDeck XL and the old? It's the new StreamDeck 15. So the StreamDeck XL, I don't have mine. I don't have mine within arm's reach, but what they did was the StreamDeck, the original 15-button StreamDeck has been out for quite a long time. So here, let's go look at their website. So the StreamDeck 15-button, been out for a long time, solid piece of gear. Where's like a photo of it? Here. So it's got this little like foldy contraption as the base, and I actually really hate it. It's really fiddly. But the StreamDeck itself is fantastic, and I've been using it forever. But recently, I guess probably a year ago now, I upgraded to the StreamDeck XL because I wanted more buttons. So that's now what I'm using to control this show. And the StreamDeck XL has this like built-in, or it's not built-in. It's a piece, but it's fixed. So it's like this is one part attached to the base, so it's stuck at that angle. So that's also why I made this stand that attaches to my stand, so that these are at the same height and the same position. And then very recently, Elgato released a Mark II version of their 15 button. And basically what they did is they made it match the design of the large one. So it's the same buttons, same functionality, like everything is basically the same as far as what it does. I think it might be like a slightly brighter screen or something, but the functionality is totally the same. But if you look at the form factor, it matches the XL1. So I think that was, I don't know what their reasons were for upgrading, for switching it, but it's, you know, that's the new one. So it now matches the XL, and that's what they released recently. Oh yeah, the Mini matches the same design too. So it's the same like built-in little. Actually, this is all one piece. This one you can't detach, but same angle, same idea. Where it's like this is the device, and that is what they changed. So the job for me now is to go and redo the design of this little side piece to match the angle of the new 15 button, because it is slightly different. So I haven't actually tested it, but if you try to use the 15 button, the new 15 button in this one, it's not going to be exactly right. So I need to make a new part for this, for the new StreamDeck. But in the meantime, the original StreamDeck Mark 1 15 button, those are like now cheaper everywhere, and they're still totally fine. So you like get those if you want to save some money and you want more StreamDecks. Cool, great questions. Let me see, is there anything else about that before I move on? David says the Behringer XR16 is a beast. I have that one. Awesome. Audient ID14 Mark II, much better quality than the Behringer. I don't know anything about these. I will say the Behringer tend to be affordable, and I've heard so many good things about it. So yeah. Soundcraft mixers are better than the Behringer. I'm sure they are. For an analog mixer, yeah, analog doesn't sound like it's going to be controllable over the network. XR is the best. Lots of auxes for clean feeds. Interesting. Interesting. Do you have a link for the faceplate on the Extreme stand? Not yet. We're so close. We're going to get that out. So that will be available, but we don't have the link out for that yet. I know everybody loves the getting your name on the stand, which I'm so glad we can do that. And I'm going to do that for the Extreme too, but it's not available yet, sadly. Just got my Mini Extreme and want to know the best way to record my consulting Zoom and FaceTime calls. Do I need the ISO to do this, or can I use something else on the non-ISO? So I have a video, my latest video on the channel is probably going to be very useful to you. Go watch that for sure. That is the literally just published like last week. It is this one, the how to get the best quality recordings of your Zoom presentations. And what I did, I'll try a new camera angle for this too. What I did in that was walk through a step-by-step tutorial on exactly that, but it's targeted for Zoom presentations, not necessarily calls with other people. So it's mainly the one-way broadcast. If you're talking about wanting to also record people who are coming in, you're going to have a similar challenge as what I described in that video and more challenges. So I would say the ISO is going to give you more tools to do that, but you may end up needing to use a secondary capture card. The reason being, whatever is in your the program of your ATEM Extreme, that's what's gonna be sent out the webcam to Zoom, and that means if you have audio from your guest enabled, or if you have if you're trying to do like a side-by-side or super source layout with your guest, they're going to be in that video that you're sending back to them also. So if you're using the ISO, then that means that you can at least mute everything except yourself, and it'll be recorded like a recorded track, and you can feed your computer screen back into the ATEM for that, or a phone or whatever. It's gonna be a trick, but do go watch that video I just posted, because that'll at least get you thinking in the right way about it. You did watch the video, great. Okay, so Yeah, it's gonna be like that, but with some extra little tricks for loops. That's a good use case, though. I should probably try to do a new video about that one too. Can you cover some best uses of having both an ATEM Mini Pro ISO and an Extreme? So much that can be done when you have two and a Rodecaster Pro, like hosting two guests. Yeah, let me think. What would I say would be good uses of having both of them? So I have actually kind of a similar setup right now, although one is not the ATEM Mini Pro. It's the television studio, the older television studio. But what I like about that, and I can just show you this this is kind of like a simplified diagram of what I've got right now. Here's my Extreme, and I've got my camera, my main camera. I've got my Mac computer screen, so you can see this. I've got other cameras, and then I've got the Hyperdeck playing a video into here too, just for fun. And my iPod. So that's all. Actually, I can just show you the multi-view. This is everything going into the ATEM right now. So that's my my main camera. I've got the Hyperdeck playing that video on a loop. My little Sony ZV-1, which is not really in a good angle right now. I've got an Apple TV in there also, so I can share my phone if I want to. And then this iPod, which is for a countdown timer or things like that. It's literally just an iPod plugged in, but I like having this little website to do counters, bigtimer.net. Super great for just like, I want to do a 10-minute break during a workshop, and I just cut my camera to that, and then that's what they see on Zoom. They just see the countdown timer running, and that's great. So that's my my ATEM, but you might notice that in this, I've run out of inputs to do the chat overlay. So if I want to show you, like if I want to key a chat message over the top, I'm out of inputs because it would take 2 of the 8. So that output from this runs into the other ATEM. In this case, Television Studio HD, but you could use your ATEM Mini Pro ISO. And that lets you bring in more things. So in this case, I've got the Ultra Studio 4K Mini for doing the graphics. I also have a Hyperdeck in here for doing that. And you could do this with the ATEM Mini Pro ISO as your sort of secondary thing to do the last minute graphics overlays on top. And then that would go, because it's an ATEM Mini Pro ISO, you'd be able to stream directly from it. I can't do that because this is a Television Studio HD, so I have to go out to the web presenter and then stream from that. But that's one thing you could do with it for sure. I think that's a useful feature, is to use it as a way to just overlay extra graphics. And it also means that you're recording if you record on the Extreme ISO, it's recording like a clean mix, like without those overlays. And if you're recording in the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, the secondary one, the downstream one, you'd be recording the full mix. Input 5 is not impressed. Yeah, I did I was recording just myself sitting here with the light in the background, the other color, and just like pretending like I was on a Zoom call. Thanks for your Mimic video on using the Extreme ISO to record a high-quality Zoom meeting. Now I really have envy of people who have the Extreme ISO. It's really good. It's really good, I will say. Oh, but if you want to do something similar and you don't have the ISO, then you can do it if you use any other capture card. So if you record the super source in the program set up on your Extreme, and then run one of the HDMI outs into a separate capture card of any kind, plug that into your computer, you can do it that way too. After I published that video, I realized I should have also included that explanation for the non-ISO version. So now I have to figure out if I'm going to do a new video about that or what. So, but yeah, if you don't have the ISO, then you'll need essentially a second capture card of some sort. Can you tell us or send a link to what kind of device is mounted on the top of the ZV-1? Is it an external battery? It is the Let me go find that before I explain what it is. That way the archives are right. Oh gosh. That is the Hollyland Mars 300 Pro. So the Mars 300 Pro, this is the wireless HDMI transmitter. It's got a battery on for it. I do wish I had a battery out so I could power the camera too, but it is, this is the wireless transmitter. So it's transmitting to the receiver, which is plugged into the ATEM so that I can share my, my scenes of what I'm showing in front of you here. So I can show like that gear or my other desk. And it's just a little wireless handheld camera. Yes, please do the video about the non-ISO extreme and zoom. Yep. I should do that. Please share your diagram in the description. That is a good idea. I can actually do that because there is a sharing feature in H2R Gear. So let me go and drop that link in the chat. Studio wiring diagram. Simplified. Technically, this is not exactly what's going on in my studio, but it is close enough to give you the idea because everything is actually connected through an SDI matrix, which just looks messy when you try to diagram it out. So this is basically what's going on. I do have an iPod. I have two iPods here. Speaking of showing things with my little handheld camera. Up above here on top of the stand, I'm using the features of my stand to let me attach things to it. I've got one iPod here running this countdown or Keynote. You can load Keynote onto it too and play presentations, which is cool. And this other one is just playing music. So that's running into mic 2. So if I want to play music from this playlist, I can just hit go on the on that iPod and it'll start playing into that mic 2 port. You're getting a mini studio tour today. Unplanned mini studio tour in several parts. Let's see. Oh, yes. My use case, green screen working on SuperSource. That's a very good use case for having two ATEMs. Excellent point. If you flip them the other way around where you're feeding the small ATEM into your extreme, then you can do green screening on the first ATEM and bring that into one of the boxes in your SuperSource, which normally you can't get green screen video in a SuperSource box. On the Mini Pro, can I use lower thirds graphics and picture-in-picture at the same time? Lower thirds, picture-in-picture, yes. So there are two keyers on the ATEM Mini Pro. So there's the upstream and downstream. And the downstream is what you'd use for the lower thirds. So you can Luma key that out. So that means taking out the blacks. And it'll leave just the remaining graphics. But you can't scale the downstream key. You can only do Luma keying to it. So use that one for your lower thirds. And then for the picture-in-picture, you would use the upstream key. And that's the one that lets you actually do resizing windows and moving them around or things like that. And green screening. So you can do two of those. You can do one downstream, one upstream. The ATEM Mini Extreme has 4 upstream keyers, which is mind-blowing. That's a lot. Because you can do... Yeah, I can't even use them all up. But yeah. You can do that with the Pro. How many Raspberry Pis are you running in your studio? Actually, surprisingly few are on full time. So I have one that's on full time that's doing 2 jobs, and I may split those up soon into 2 Pis. The one that is on full time is the one that's running Companion. So it's the one that is actually running my Companion software, and that's this IP address, and it's that's also what my StreamDeck is plugged into. So this StreamDeck is not plugged into my computer. This one's plugged into my computer. But the this one is plugged into the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is back there somewhere. And that one is running full time. It's always on. And that is for, I just realized I didn't attach the little bottom bracket to hold my StreamDeck stand in place. That's why it's slipping. I made this thing where there's this little clip that goes down in the bottom there to stop this front corner from pulling off, and I didn't install it, and that's why it was slipping. Shame on me. So that Raspberry Pi is there. The other job that one has is actually it's my streaming bridge equivalent. So it's the one that can receive an RTMP feed and then output it over HDMI. And I do have those running on the same Pi right now. It seems to be fine. The reason I was considering splitting it is because if I need to upgrade the software on one of those, I don't want it to break the other thing. So then that's why I'm considering splitting that into its own Pi. But other things I've used the Pis for are full screening a browser. So bringing in graphics or a video.ninja video feed, which is not quite satisfactory with that performance. But I have a couple of them just lying around where I can just throw them at random jobs like that when I want to try something out. I have a ATEM Mini Pro, an Ultra Studio Mini 4K, and I'm trying to alpha key. No IP. So I need Companion to trigger the ATEM Mini Pro and the Ultra Studio in the same command with the pauses. The Ultra Studio Mini 4K, that's going to output graphics from a computer, so I'm not quite sure what you're triggering from Companion with that. Because it's just going to be getting video fed to it from a computer. Yeah, let me know what you would be expecting to trigger from Companion on that. But yes, I would recommend Companion generally. For somebody starting out streaming, what type of camera would you recommend getting? Ooh, this is a good question. So I am a big fan of not spending a bunch of money unless you need to. So there's a couple of different, I would say there's probably 2 different cameras I would recommend for starting out. This camera, the one that I'm using right now, this is the Lumix G7. I do have a link to it down below. And this is not a fantastic camera. It is by no means a great camera. There are much better Lumix cameras out there, like the GH5S, for example. That is a fantastic camera. It's also $2,500, and this one is $500. So it looks good, but it's definitely missing some of the features you would get in the much fancier cameras. So this is a great camera for this use case of it is installed on a desk. It is, I can reach out and touch the lens. It's that close to me, and I did upgrade the lens on it to the fancy 15mm, but the kit lens is okay. The kit lens is actually the one that's on this camera. This is the same Lumix G7. This is the default lens that it comes with, so nothing fancy. And really, it's all about lighting it properly. I will say the downside to this camera is that the autofocus is not good. So, I'm not going to turn on autofocus so I can try to show you something on the screen. It's just not going to work well. So I leave autofocus off. It's always manually focused here. If you want a camera, so if that's what your setup is like a desk, a fixed shot, solid camera, very affordable. You can get 2 of them, connect them to an ATEM Mini. Now you've got a 2-angle show, which is great. The other camera I would probably recommend at this point is this one, the Sony ZV-1. And this autofocus is amazing. It is incredible. Let me see if I can get that. Oh, the colors are very different. You'll see what I mean. I may have white balance set wrong on this. Let me double check. The white balance is set to something. So let's just do auto and see what it thinks. Okay. still pretty different. So here I'm going to switch over to the ZV-1. So this is the ZV-1 handheld, so it's super shaky. It's quite different looking. Let's see, maybe if I don't block the light, that's a bit closer to the other angle. And do I have anything to pick up in front of the camera? Look how it just like seamlessly focuses on whatever I'm showing. Like the autofocus on this one is so good. It's out of control how good it is. So if you care about autofocus, this is a good camera to get. You will need some accessories to make it work well for a live streaming environment, like the battery DC power adapter and the little bottom bracket that I've got under here to make it so that you can actually have the battery flap open while it's on a tripod. A couple of annoyances, but it's a good camera. The one that I haven't tried yet is their new one, the ZV-E10, which is basically a cross between this and the Sony A6400 line, or the 6000 line, which is, it's got an interchangeable lens, but it's got all the features of the ZV-1. So really good autofocus, side flippy screen, things like that. So that one may move up to my list of recommended cameras, but I haven't actually tried one yet. And yes, I should mess around with picture profiles so that it more closely matches my Lumix. I don't normally do it. I don't normally have it set in a way where you're going to see this picture compared to the other one side by side. That one. I normally don't go between this and this, which is not a thing I do. So like if I'm showing you around the studio, then the white balance matching doesn't really, you don't really notice that it's not exactly the same because you're not looking at the same object, subject. Let's see, what else? The Mars 300 Pro is more convenient for that use case than the Mars 400S Pro with the antennas. I've broken 2 antennas. Oh no. I agree. The reason I like this 300 is because there are no antennas, and it's easier to throw into a bag and put on top of small cameras like that. What else? Do you prefer mic plugged into the camera and then sent to the ATEM, or plugging the mic directly into the ATEM and adjusting delay? Does one offer better sound quality? As far as the sound quality goes, it's going to very much depend on the camera. So your camera may have better or worse preamps in it for microphone, for audio processing. So that's going to very much depend on or determine the audio quality of the difference between the two. So that said, oh, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks for the great weekly show. It's really educating Sunday evening habit. Awesome. I do like that it's Sunday evening for half of the people here and Sunday morning for me. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. What I was saying was I do prefer plugging the microphone into the camera. The reason for that is that I don't have to worry about audio sync. It is just in sync. But it works well in this scenario. The downside then is if I want to hop over to this camera and walk around the studio, then I have to switch microphones because my microphone here is plugged into the camera that is attached to my desk and I can't move it around. I guess I could attach the Rode Wireless Go receiver to that camera and do that. I should try that sometime. Maybe that'll end up being easier. Then you also don't hear the audio change when I switch cameras. But that's how I, that's how I end up doing, prefer to doing my audio routing. Also means I don't have an audio mixer here, which is just a thing that I've never had to deal with. Can the ATEM Mini Pro jack work fine without a lifter? It'll totally depend on the microphone. So I don't know. I would recommend for audio specific questions especially about the ATEM Mini, go check out Curtis Judd. He usually does live streams shortly after mine. Let's see if he's got one coming up. He does live streams. Also, yes, he's actually starting one in 10 minutes. So he is here, and I'm probably going to go spill into his time, unfortunately. But do go check out his channel, and he's audio expert. So. Oh, thanks, Pat, for the super chat. I don't recall you covering this previously. How do you do your closing credits? I'm working on a PowerPoint method, but was curious. Good question. Let me go and just drop this link into... Here's Curtis Judd's... oh, I should drop a link to his channel. That would make more sense for the archives. Curtis Judd is the audio guy. Yeah, go check out his channel for sure. But apologies to him in advance because I'm definitely going to go past 11 today. I can tell. I'm not wrapping up in 9 minutes. Okay. How do I do my closing credits? The closing credits are part of my show graphics now. So if I load up if I show you my computer screen, let's see, how can I do this well? Here's what I can do. This is the window, this is a browser window, and it's being controlled remotely. So if I tap on a message, it'll pop up here. This is loaded into OBS as a browser capture. So whatever shows up in this browser window is now in OBS, and it is going to be, what OBS does is OBS recognizes it has a transparent background and then is set to use the deck link output and output this over to the deck link or the Ultra Studio 4K Mini, which has the key fill into the television studio. So again, here's the diagram, right? My ATEM is mixing everything about the show except the chat. Ultra Studio 4K Mini is plugged into the computer. OBS is running graphics into this. It then outputs key and fill into here, where it then gets mixed together for you on the stream. Now, how this relates to my closing credits is the closing credits are a feature of this website. So let me go turn that off so that I can show you the graphics inside of the web page. So if I go to, let me turn the audio off also. So if I go and actually run the credits, here's the button for it. You're going to see in OBS what happens. So what's going on here is it is a little bit of CSS essentially. So there's a background image, and it is it's a layer that has it's a layer that has where's the image? Here's the image, which is my little RGB graphic. And then I've got the credits text, which is using CSS animation. So it takes 90 seconds to change the position from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. And that looks like a slow scroll. And this image is actually partially transparent. See that opacity? So if I change it to 1, then it gets fully opaque. And then you wouldn't see me through it. But when it's set to 0.4, it ends up looking like kind of an overlay. And again, this is going into OBS. And OBS is, it's recognizing there's an alpha channel there and outputting that over the key fill channel. So if let me see if I can, one downside of the ZV-1 is the batteries do not last long, which is why continuous power is better for these if you can. But what I wanted to show was the multi-view of the television studio. So this is the television studio mixing the program. I've got my ZV-1 camera here, but then this is that fill, which is showing you the full RGB graphics, and that's the key channel, which is making it partially transparent. So that is how that works. It's just a little bit of CSS No JavaScript for that, really, which is cool. And now I have to force my graphics to reload so that I can bring them back on the air. Cool. Great question, though. I have not talked about that. Oh, thanks, Colin. Looking forward to your non-ISO zoom content. Okay, I'll have to do it. I will have to do it. Thanks for the prodding. Okay, I know there's more questions in here that I haven't got to. I haven't even touched on my... I haven't even got to my companion setup yet. Is it better quality or stability using the Blackmagic Web Presenter or ATEM Mini Pro encoder? I haven't done like a full-on side-by-side comparison in terms of the quality. I suspect they're actually the same encoder underneath. I would be curious to try that. And I do have that stress test clip to try it with. So I can actually do some pretty rigorous testing with it. I'll run this clip through it to so I can actually see how well it handles it and look at the individual pixels. This is like a horribly compressed animated GIF version of it, but the I use this when I'm testing out gear and stuff. So it's kind of cool. It talks about all the different things, but it's got like color range test, grayscale range, different kinds of animations. You can test out how smoothly it does gradients. There's a lot of fun stuff in here, and it's really interesting to see how the different gear handles this kind of stuff. So if you want to really push a piece of gear to its limits, go run this video clip through it, because you'll quickly see how different video encoders break down and where they start introducing artifacts and what's going on. Like you can see how this animation is, barely able to represent any of this stuff because I've compressed it so much so that it's quick to show on the web page. But you can see like how this red, it's lost the contrast. There should be a circle in there, but you can kind of still see the circle in this white one. So this compression has compressed the different color channels differently. That's what that's telling you. So all that is to say, I should do a test where I run this through the ATEM Mini Extreme and the web presenter, and then compare the results out the other end. Okay, oh my gosh, there's so many more questions. We're just gonna go for a while, I guess. Is there a way to do super source on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, maybe using Mix Effect Pro? Not exactly. The super source is a feature built into the ATEM Extreme and their higher end ones also, and it's not going to happen on the Pro. It's just not, it requires all the extra hardware that's in there. That said, you can use the upstream key to do some of the things that you can do with super source. Really, it's just scaling and cropping a window. So one input on top of a background layer. So it's definitely not the same at all. And in my opinion, that is the best reason to get the ATEM Mini Extreme, because the super source feature lets you do so many more cool things. Thinking of creating a 24/7 for a music channel, can the web presenter be used for this? I think I would trust the web presenter to run 24/7. I would probably give that a shot, yeah. I haven't run it 24/7, but I did run it for... Actually, I think I did run it for over 24 hours once. When I first got this back from Blackmagic, I was letting it run for a long time just to see what would happen between Sundays, of course. Yeah, I would give it a shot. I wish one StreamDeck attachment can hold either of the normal or the XL. Ooh, I don't know. That sounds like a challenge. I don't know how I would do that where it can work for either of the two. Blackmagic should pay you commission for demonstrating uses they have not thought of. I like that idea. Well, the good news is I am giving them a lot of this feedback, so we'll see if that makes its way back into any of their future products. One use case for multiple ATEMs besides more ports is chroma key on the Mini Pro to picture-in-picture or super source. Yes. Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yep, for sure. Best use of 2 ATEMs, use a green screen and put playout beam movie on the background on ATEM 1. Use that as input 2 as a scalable picture-in-picture. Oh yeah, okay, totally. So that way you can chroma key out a video on the ATEM where you normally wouldn't be able to because it's missing one of the, because the ATEM Mini Pro doesn't have 4 upstream keyers. How can I display a timecode overlay? I've made it on my laptop and masked everything but the timecode. Not sharp, and I can't use the software without losing the timecode image. Ooh, yeah. I mean, the problem with using computer screens for any of this stuff is that this computer screen is just an image, and as soon as a window comes over it, you lose that. I used to share the chat from a computer screen into the ATEM and would always run into that problem of like, oh, I alt-tabbed to an application and something else popped in front, and now you've got a bunch of junk on the screen that's also like cropped out weirdly. The one way to do it is to find a different device that's not a computer. For example, I'm using this, I've got this little iPod over here for my countdown timer, and this is obviously not timecode, but I'm sure there's somebody who's made an app for timecode. But if you can get it onto an iPod or an iPhone or an iPad, then you can share that screen into the ATEM, and now you can key that out. So I could, for example, bring that up over on top of this video. If I go into the, I'm not even using my upstream keys right now, so I can just go into the upstream key and do a Luma key from, what is it, the iPod, and then we're going to, we don't even need to mask it because it's full screen. And now we've got the countdown timer running. And you will have some challenges getting the edges right because that's the nature of using a Luma key. So I can try to clean up the edges a bit. There we go, that looks a little better. And then I might want to scale it down with the flying key. So I can shrink it down and then move it down there. And now that's looking more like what you would want to see. But I would honestly try to get it onto a device that is not a computer because you're going to always have challenges with the computer. Now it looks like this is counting down to something, which it's definitely not. So I'm just going to turn that off. Do you have a super source video? I need a quick guide to set up on my extreme ISO. I don't have a video that talks specifically about the super source options. I just have talked about it in these shows. But I will say, if you have an iPad, try out the Mix Effect app. And here, I'll drop that link. Try out the Mix Effect app because it is a much easier way to set up SuperSource. And the developer of this has videos about how to do it also on his channel. So there's some really good guides there. So definitely give it a shot because, yeah, honestly, Blackmagic's tools for setting up SuperSource are not great. And it's a lot easier using Mix Effect. What if we want an extreme studio tour instead of a mini studio tour? I did say mini studio tour, didn't I? Do you use Elgato lights in the studio? And if so, are they controlled by the StreamDeck? On my setup, only the right light works with the StreamDeck, so I use an iPhone app. Yeah, no, I don't use the Elgato lights. I have opinions about them. I don't like that they're Wi-Fi, and they have to get onto the Wi-Fi of the building. My only experience with these lights is I used them when I was setting up the office studio at Auth0's offices. And it was just a deal breaker because we don't have a computer in there because we don't want a permanently installed computer in that room because then IT has to maintain it and I don't even know how that's going to work. So instead, people bring their own laptop into the room to record, and then they have no way to control the light because it requires being on Wi-Fi and having an app. And like, I don't know, I just want a remote that talks to the light. I don't need a fancy app. So yeah, I don't use the Elgato lights. If I create a local website in my church, is it possible to host your chat overlay on that? Yes, I do actually have instructions on how to do that. So if you go to my chat plugin here on GitHub, this one. No, not that one. I think I linked to it from there. Yes, it's linked from here. This one. So let me drop that link in. Live chat overlay remote. This is what is on that remote window. So when you go and click the pop-out chat button, it'll send you to like chat.aaronpk.tv/overlay. And no, that doesn't do anything because there's no video ID. But if there was a video ID, it would start showing the chat. This project talks about exactly what's in that window, and you can set it up on your own server if you don't want it on mine. Fair warning, it is going to be kind of involved. You do have to install Nginx from and custom compile or add in this module, which I think they made it a little bit easier in Ubuntu now, but still, it is not trivial, which is why I made that page on my website so that people can just use it. Frank says, have I tried the YellowBox Pro's recent chroma key feature, possibly the industry's easiest green screen? I did one test with it when that firmware update launched. I was very excited to see that in the firmware update list. Did not expect to see chroma keying coming on the YellowBox. So I do want to do a more detailed test because I actually do have a green screen back here, and I don't just fake green screen on this wall. So I do want to do a more thorough test, but yeah, it looks super cool. Sean says, have you been having an issue with the StreamDeck going black and having to rescan? I was, and I turned the top yellow numbers back on and it has been good. Oh, that's super weird. I have noticed that a couple times I've had my StreamDeck forget that it's connected to Companion and they get disconnected and I have to go into Companion and click rescan. The StreamDeck buttons still look active when it happens to me though, so they just don't do anything. Yeah. Can you do a video on cost-effective setup for starters? I would love to. That is a great idea. Let me, in the meantime, since I don't have a video about that, I do have a video from... Oh my god, I just realized how old this is. It is from a year and a half ago. Oh, thanks, Bob. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. This blog post is something I wrote at the beginning of the pandemic because I knew people were going to be suddenly looking for this information. And I basically want to turn this into a video, but it's essentially things you can do for $0 up to $1,000. And for example, mute yourself when you're not talking, which sounds simple, but you'd be surprised. If you're doing like studio recording, sit inside your closet. Helps with the echo if you're recording. Anyway, lots of stuff on here. I have sample audio files, and then I start talking about like, what can you do for some dollars? And I have samples of what it looks like from these different cameras also, and different lights. I'll do an update on the gear, of course, because although that G7 is still in that list, some of the gear I would probably replace, update a year and a half later, but mostly it's the same ideas. Would make a good video. Do you color grade the video on the stream? Do you have separate profiles for all your cameras? This camera's the G7. It is just at the defaults. I think I set the white balance at one point to something, so it's fixed at a white balance. I don't remember what number it's at, but no other color tweaks on that. I don't even know if you can do any other color tweaks, certainly not proper grading. And then I have not even bothered to try matching this one. I should spend some time on that. The Pocket 4K is the other camera I have on the other table, and that's the one that record the YouTube videos. Like the recorded YouTube videos usually end up recorded on that one, and I do have a grade that I made for that where I tried to make it match this camera as close as I could. It's close. It's not perfect. I'm not very good at color grading, and I don't really like it very much. So I would rather just not have to fiddle with it. So I'm even considering getting more Lumix G7 cameras to avoid color grading so that more of the angles match. The picture on the ZV-1 wasn't as crisp as the Lumix. Is that a settings issue or quality issue? That is an excellent question. The lens or the sensor on the ZV-1 is significantly smaller than on the Lumix camera, the G7. So it could be that could be part of it. It could also be that the ISO on this, it's set to auto right now. So let's see if I point this at myself. What does it say it's set? Oh no, it's at 160. Why would it be significantly? It doesn't look that much different to me. The color is definitely pinker on the Sony right now. I'm also wobbling. Maybe that's actually part of it. Because remember, this is going through the wireless transmitter too, so it's getting compressed there. And the extra motion from me wiggling the camera is not helping. Could be that. Do you have any thoughts on bringing in a guest in the ATEM Mini Extreme via the Zoom ISO software and DeckLink Duo that Adam made a video about last week? Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch that. I tried this. I tried Zoom ISO and I was not having luck. And then I ran out of time just to fiddle with it, and I switched back to video.ninja and did that instead for the event 2 weeks ago. And I've been meaning to watch his video about this because I really want to see what he did to make it work well. Because I know a lot of people are using Zoom ISO and it's working fine for them. So I'm just really confused about why I was struggling so much with it. Why not organize a marathon show that gives the opportunity to respond to the 1,000 questions everybody has? Yep, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Adam says, I believe I resolved the audio sync issues from the video. Next week's stream will show it in action. Cool. Well, I didn't even know there were audio sync issues because I haven't watched it yet. So I'll try to catch up. Where is the projector? Any plans to put that to use again? The projector is hiding in a box because it is a gigantic heater and it has been very hot. In fact, it is already up to 80 degrees in here because I don't have the AC on while I'm streaming because it's extremely loud. But I did get a little floor AC unit because I just need an emergency air conditioner, and it's been so nice being able to have that in here when it's when I'm doing like video shoots where I'm not speaking, I'm just getting B-roll and stuff. I can actually use the space even though it's 90 or 100 outside. Okay, I can talk about your new uses for Companion. Also related, when you have many macros and you need to tweak them, what's your workflow? So let me talk about that. Now that we're 13 minutes past when I normally end, I'm going to get to the main topic of today's show. So Companion. Most of my previous use, I think I actually mentioned this in a video or in the live stream last week. Most of my previous use of Companion has been having essentially one page of buttons. And I put like all of the buttons for the show onto this one page. And I made that comment last week in the live stream, and I was thinking, what if I didn't? What if I had multiple pages that I normally would use? Like normally I'll have like a show, a set of buttons for a particular show, and then if I want to go and like if I'm doing a show for a live stream for work or on a different channel with different cameras and stuff, I'll like copy this to a new page and then modify a bunch of stuff. And I mostly don't navigate between pages during a production. So then I was like, well, what if I let myself set up a bunch of pages and actually give myself an easy way to navigate through them? And then I remembered back to David Joshua Ford's pack of companion actions for the ATEM, and he's like flying through those pages and navigating around really quickly and very powerful. So I was like, okay, let me take some inspiration from that. I don't want exactly that deck because I still like my very customized buttons that do multiple actions per button instead of having to navigate between different pages all the time, like as if I were using the software control interface. So what I did this week was I changed the buttons around to give myself like a home screen, and these actually now jump to different pages. So here's the one that jumps to my show page, which I still is the main way I'm interacting with this on this stream. But I now also have, for example, a page for my lights. These are my studio lights. Here's my desk light, the hair light for my desk. Also, Z-Wave is not instant. The responsiveness on this is not impressive. Come on, turn back on. There we go. There's the light. I've got a page controlling the TV studio. So this is, for example, I can control whether I want the Hyperdeck graphics on air, the downstream key for the Ultra Studio graphics. There's this button, which will switch between, oh, you can't really see it. The exposure is kind of whack on this camera. This one will switch between multi-view, showing on the, going into the television studio or my program. And go back here, I go to the web presenter page, and I've got on-air button, which I'm not going to press that because it'll kill the show. These switch the streaming destination of the web presenter, so I can switch between my YouTube channel and the Raspberry Pi if I want to test stuff locally. I've got my ATEM Extreme, which is just like a sort of basic ATEM Extreme layout. So I've got my camera angles switching between this camera, that camera, the Sony ZV-1. I've got the preview bank up here. I can switch to the super source, right? I got the auto and cut between, oh, it's on the same one as on preview, so I can fade between those. Jump back home, go to this one, which is ATEM Extreme Outputs. I've got the sort of, again, you can see the same sources, but I can switch my output from HDMI 1, output from HDMI 2. This is what's being sent into the stream. So if I switch that to like multi-view, you'll see the multi-view on the screen. If I switch that to program, you see the program on the stream. This one's what's on my monitor in front of me, so I can switch what I'm seeing in front of me there as well. I've got a new bank to control SuperSource. So I've got, if I want to change what's in SuperSource box 1, whether it's enabled, I can go to SuperSource box 2. And that was my thought there was, if I'm showing you SuperSource, and then I want to say, oh, well, let me change what's on the screen so that I don't have my computer screen there. That's in box 2, and then I switch that to the close-up. Now I can show you that in SuperSource, which is pretty cool. Or I can put my Apple TV or the iPod or the other camera. I can just quickly change what's in these SuperSource boxes. So and then I've got routing. So I've got my little SDI matrix controls here. These are essentially one column per screen. So I've got what's on my left monitor in front of me, what's on the Smart View monitor, what's on the other Smart View monitor. So that's for for these, right? So if I go and I say what's on the Smart View left, well, right now it's my computer screen, but I can also change it to the Extreme Multi-View or the TV Studio Multi-View. Let's say I want, or on this one, that one's my TV Studio Multi-View, but I could change it to the ATEM Extreme Multi-View instead. And then same with this monitor. That's up here. It's my multi-view right now, but I could also make it my computer monitor. These monitors are slower to switch because they're switching frame rates and stuff. Then I've got one for the teleprompter over on the table, the other monitor on the table back there, and then the second ATEM, which is what's feeding into ATEM 2. So this is so that I can show you my computer screen, but I could also make it my second computer screen, so that I can show a PowerPoint slide in there, for example. And I want to go back here because that's actually what I want to show you. So I don't know. It's been fun. I just like having my little. I still like the main sort of show buttons that show the that I use to control most things. Where it's my pre-roll, show the map, start the show, end the show, the credits button. That's what I'm using to hide chat messages after I show them on the screen. So I like having this as sort of the main way I'm interacting with things, but I also like being able to, that wasn't the right button, that was the button. But I also like having the ability to use the SuperSource buttons to change what is going into these. And that's a lot easier than fiddling with fiddling with going to the software control and switching tabs and all that kind of stuff. All right, that was a fun little diversion. Let's see any other questions about that. What are the small monitors in your rack? That's actually Blackmagic's SmartView Duo. So it is their 3U dual monitor. The annoying thing about it is that the display panels are not 1080. They're like really low res, so you end up not really being able to see text very well on them. I'm hoping someone's going to make a better version of that, because like 7-inch monitors can get 4K now, so I want those in a rack. I'd be much happier, but I've had that thing for ages. Bookmarked the GitHub project, thanks. You need to add a $1,000 category so you can include the extreme ISO. I do. Yeah, I should update that post. Could it be the wireless HDMI causing an issue? It could be. It does look compressed. Looking at the color jump from the middle. Oh, it's weird talking about me that way. But yes, middle of the jaw here. Blotchy on the ZV-1. Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. I should do some more tests on that, because I like that camera, and it works fine for. It just doesn't match this one, but I still think it looks fine. What do you do about the much lower quality video coming out of the USB when you need both of the HDMI outputs for other things? I don't think it's much lower quality. It is, however, more contrasty colors. So it is not a problem in this set for me. Like, there's enough. I don't have anything at the extremes of the darks and the lights for it to be a problem. And I feed this video into Zoom all the time, and it's totally fine. But if you need both HDMI outputs for other things, then you're out of luck. But what I have done in some cases, if I do need to get into my computer something that includes screen sharing, for example, where the screen is bright white, and then it looks, if you increase the contrast, it really messes it up, then you can use a separate capture card for that one that doesn't have the problems of their USB levels. Okay, sorry about someone who in the chat was very noisy. Please, I hid you from the channel, sorry. But if you speak a full sentence, then I will be able to show your messages on the screen and actually see what you're trying to say. But one word at a time is not a not helpful way to interact. Sorry. Now I already got to that question. Have I tried out David Joshua Ford's companion macro pack for the Mini Extremes? I haven't actually tried it out myself, but I was when I was hanging out with him, I was watching him use it, and he's very good at it, and definitely gave me some ideas, but I haven't tried it myself. And I don't know. I think I may need to warm up to that idea of interacting with it that way, because like I was explaining, the way I've got these buttons set up, I tend to create the buttons that are very specific to my workflow, and they're not generic buttons. So like for example, I would not want to recreate the 20x20 SDI matrix controls exactly in there, because there's going to be a handful of those buttons that I would then never press. So instead, the matrix controls that I do have are specific to how I expect to be routing things. So I only have 6 outputs. These aren't even buttons. These are just labels for me. I only have 6 outputs I can control from this. And within these, I can only set it to 3 different sources. So it's not a full matrix control, but it's the most common ones that I would end up pressing. Could you use OBS browser capture and an Ultra Studio with a timecode generator running in a browser window similar to what you use for your comments. Oh, yeah, totally. If you can find a browser source for timecode generator. Yeah, that would work. There is a timecode generator in the ATEM visible in the control software. Yep, there is. Where is that in the record? Oh, timecode generator. It's in here. Is there a way to get it via the API rather than screen capture? I don't think you could get it via the API because it wouldn't be... I don't think so. Not out of the API, but... well, something could tap into that because like other sources can find the time code. I don't remember if they're pulling it off of the... oh, mine's just at the time of day, not even real time code. I don't know if it's pulling it out of the like actual HDMI signal or not, but you can like link up devices to share timecode. So if you can find one of those that can then output it into a video signal, that could be a way to do it. I don't know. I haven't tried too much. Chris says, I seem to have missed a super chat. I was not looking at the monitor. I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's do that again. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Looking for an intercom system for my events. Any experience with the EarTech Ultralight HD? Ooh, no, I have not tried that. So let me think. Where can I point you? I know I haven't tried that one. I do know that PhotoJoseph and David Joshua Ford both have videos about the Hollyland systems. I'm gonna try to find their videos. So the Hollyland T1000 is one that PhotoJoseph reviewed. And that one is also then quite different from the David Joshua Ford, the one he tried, which is the where's his YouTube? And his is SolidCom M1. And he did a good video about that one. So I'm just going to drop links to theirs. From David Joshua Ford. Oh, and so yeah, I would take a look at those two videos, and they may have some more suggestions for you too. I also don't do stuff where I'm like, I don't often work with other people in the field. So I was doing some conference recording before travel stopped and before live events stopped. But even then, it was mostly just myself as the only production person. So I never really needed an intercom system because I was never working with anybody else on set. Have I tried running that Mac behind me in the shelf? I did boot. I tried turning it on. It does not boot. I need to fix the hard drive. The upstream keyer has tone color controls, which can tweak the USB video output. I just use the Elgato Cam Link via one of the HDMI outs, but either works. The upstream keyer has tone color controls, which can tweak the USB video output. I'm not sure what that means. If you're applying the color controls in the upstream key, then it's going to affect the video that's in the upstream key. So that's in the DVE tab. So no, in the, where is it? Oh, in the chroma. So you can actually change the color of the video. So if I turn this on, oh, it looks like I'm chroma keying myself. So cool. Let's scoot that up here. And then if I actually tweak the colors, it's going to tweak that one box, but it's not affecting the overall output of the video. It's a decent chroma key considering how poorly lit that is. Have you figured out how to use the stinger transition effect on the ATEM Mini Extreme models? If you mean that sting button, no, still no idea what that button does. No clue what that button does. It's just there. But for stingers, I do end up with the like feeding in, you know, graphics from some other source to do stingers. Like that. Oh, Doug has great videos on comms too. Yes, excellent point. Excellent point. Let me go grab a link to his channel too. Doug Johnson. And I don't know which video in particular, but definitely go check out Doug. And he does a lot more actual production work with other people where he does need to use comms. It works for me with chroma key to deal with the high contrast. Oh, I see. So if you are using the upstream, using the chroma key to, like, not actually chroma key, but to to flatten the contrast so that it brings it back to the right amount. So if I turned that on, but then made it not actually do any chroma keying, then I could, for example, reduce the contrast of that one. That way, by the time it gets into the USB, it comes back to the right color range. Interesting hack. Doug did a video on the stinger button and what it does. I'm gonna have to go watch it then. I haven't heard. Mine doesn't do anything when I press it. It just doesn't do anything. So I'll go watch that video because I'll learn something. Cool. Okay. I think we're gonna wrap up here. I think I got to most of the questions. If I did miss one, I'm sorry. There's a lot going on in the chat today. So give this video a thumbs up if you are still here and watching. Thank you all for being here as always. And let's go ahead and roll the credits. The credits, I did change this a couple weeks ago. They are now going to thank everybody who sent a super chat in the last 30 days. So thank you all very much for your support. I appreciate it very much. And we are going to be back same time next week. Who knows what will be that show? I don't know. I never really do before I do these things these days. Hopefully get some more things to try out, test some more gear, and answer some more questions. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your super chats, and I will see you all next week. Bye.